Hey everybody, Cam Capital here with a video that's going to be on Skillz, SKLZ, OCGN, and MVIS. So all three of these were pretty big movers this week, multi-day runners, and OCGN pulled back today after an offering, but they were pretty popular stocks this week in a crazy week of price action in terms of indices. 2-day lows, Tuesday, Thursday, big bounce Wednesday, and then today set a new intraday all-time high on the S&P 500. So pretty ridiculous price action throughout the week, based off all the news in the economy and Biden's tax plan, and then the talking heads today saying the tax plan is not going to be that high, get a bounce, and a run on some pretty decent manufacturing numbers, and all of that prior to a big earnings week next week, where the top 5 companies in the S&P 500, your FANGs, all report earnings, including Tesla on Monday. So next week could be a big week going ahead, but this week was a big week for smaller companies. Some heavily shorted names, some popular names in the past, put in bottoms and took off running. Skillz was one of those. So Skillz here, 5-minute chart. So you see, kind of sold off Monday, Tuesday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, got this bottom in around Tuesday's low was 12.45, Wednesday 12.4 right off the bat, right off the open. Multiple news items came out on Skillz about Cathie and ARK Invest getting back in and buying a lot more shares, I should say, and that's usually pretty bullish news lately in the terms of the market sentiment. So Wednesday, I get this massive move higher and continuation through after hours and pre-market. Put in a high 1982, so Thursday big sell-off pullback. But you see, if we make a fib right here real quick, I'm not going to try to make it permanent because there's just way too many lines on. But 1982, 12.4, right? So basically we bounced midday Thursday right on this 50% fib. Moved higher after hours again yesterday, kind of consolidated pre-market today, and then actually sold off pretty strongly off the open, while most stocks like MVIS, OCGN ripped. But we did kind of form this higher low here in the mid-morning, or you want to call this an inverted head and shoulders. That's probably a better term for it. So you ignore the wicks, right? So you got one shoulder here about 17, head comes down to about 16.4, 16.5, and we make the other shoulder here in the 17, 16.8, 16.9, and we rip higher, getting back to the 18.8s. And so I had a lot of levels marked on Skillz and these other charts, using the basically daily open, close, low, high marks, and then marking these as standard Ds from the higher time frames. But I took all those off because there's already way too many lines on here for most viewers, especially if you don't know what they are. And so it takes practice. Everybody has a different setup and what they like. I think there's just good information. And then most of my screens on my charts, so this is a typical screen I look at for Thinkorswim, and then I have my charts for trading on Interactive Brokers, but I don't have the standard DEV normally on. They're just on for YouTube video purposes, really, and more for higher time frame. But so Skillz closed at 1817, up 9.66%, and kind of downtrending here after hours right now, down to 18.1. We did get a push at 18.4, couldn't get through that standard D level, but sold off. So if we go out to the daily here, see that long-term trend, Skillz 46.3. Prior video I talked to them about when they ran on Wednesday. This day was about them signing a deal with the NFL, and it was a sell the news type event. Sold off real hard. I extended this red fib here today to the bottom to 12.4, and you see with that extension where we opened yesterday, basically had the high at 19.55 level. 19.8 was actually where we opened in the pre-market level. Sold off there. That corresponds a lot to overhead resistance, right? The 78.6 fib. Got the 200 moving average coming in, so it sells us off. But today, we used the 9 EMA as support, push up higher, can't get through the standard DEV level. It was at 18.62. I had it marked actually at 18.5 earlier because it put in that new extra day. But you see here, we did close right above the 22-day EMA at 18.18, actually right on at 18.17, 1 cent, close enough for me in terms of spread. But you see, volume-wise, do have a lot of volume above, you know, the 19s 20. So we'll look to see if Skillz can maintain momentum going into next week. We'll go to MVIS next. Microvision, so pretty popular stock on Wall Street Bets. So we'll just stay here in the daily, and then we'll go down to intraday. But same kind of time frame, been beaten down the last 2 months. Has been kind of setting up, you know, with these pattern of waves. Could call this like a double bottom here around 12. The last bounce into March, go down lower. But really, if you want to say $10 is the level, so you got one here, one wick through it here on the move up, kind of acting as resistance, a double-digit barrier, always a psychological level, going from single digit to double. But here, this massive hammer that occurred on the 5th got all the way down to 10.12, and then here you see the low on Wednesday, 10.12, 10.08. So that hammer back there was actually providing a level of support. If you read into, you know, candlestick investing. So you could look for a bounce to that level, and that just corresponds to a lot of things over here, which usually happens. The half EMA, or excuse me, half standard D level, and $10 psychological level. But we rip higher, some similar, get the gap up, pull back, you know, some profit taking. But we close right on the standard D neutral zone, right about where the 2250 EMAs are also at. And then today, you know, we gapped open higher, you know, close to the open from yesterday. And then we just took off. So it took off, and then we found resistance at the 1 standard D mark up here, the upper 18s. But, you know, we did put that high in at 19.14 and then pulled back, closed at 17.97, up basically 37% on the day for MVIS. But you also see here this $19 area has been a lot of resistance in the past. So 1 wick to it, gapped open, sold off of it, 1 wick, 2 wick, 3 wicks. So 19 is a big area to be bullish on for MVIS. You know, if we can get a candle to close above 19, looks like we could break that spot where sellers are sitting at to move higher. Just to look at the intraday, you'll see here, right? So unlike Skillz, we just ripped all morning, really held the 5 EMA, or excuse me, the 9 EMA on the 5-minute chart really nicely, right? So hammer, enter. You know, can't break the low of that, stay up all day. So real nice trend all morning. And then, you know, ran into that resistance at 19, sold back off. But, you know, consolidation from the morning held, so stayed up high, closed pretty solidly at 18 today. And then lastly, we'll go to OCGN. So OCGN, you know, strong again. So you know, really moved this week. So low 524 on Tuesday, hit a high 1365. So, you know, that's almost a double and a half on your money from low to high. And you know, really, I mentioned in my video yesterday, didn't get a ton of views on OCGN, but you know, we had this cupping action, then consolidated basically above yesterday's high. You know, really only had a test first thing in the morning, ran into the close. Definitely on the news, you know, India's cases have stayed elevated and increasing. I actually didn't see any numbers for today, but you know, we got this pullback right off the open, and ripped higher. So we put that hammer in. It stopped at 8.8. I couldn't really find a level of 8.8 resistance on really any time frame, but that's where we bounced. Sometimes those things happen. Pushed up higher, consolidate, basically above yesterday's close, and we take off. And then I almost got caught in this drop here, because I was watching this. You know, this level 11 held pretty well, and then on the 1 and 3 minute as well. But you see here, kind of zoom in, kind of sucks, but the even here looks like the 9 might cross over the 50 on that next candle, and they put out the news like literally the first minute of power hour, and it dropped. I mean, this whole candle is one minute, really like 15 seconds. Sitting all the way down. They did a direct offering at $10, sold down through it, got a bounce at 9.5, that 50 fib level, hammer bar back through it, closed a little bit above at 963, so 3.66 up on the day. But I think that really is going to kill OCGN's momentum going forward. So kind of similar chart pattern to the other two, just you know, less downside. But you know, kind of put this hammer candle in at 5, so new level at base at 5. But here, look at this odd candle. Like, this candle was seen in cannabis stocks when they made their last run, and then after that they actually had a couple days sideways action and then sold off. So that's only really my experience of seeing it, like this, what do you call this, like doji sword looking massive candle. It's a little sideways action and it ends up rolling over. So I'll have to wait and see what happens next week, see if there's elevated numbers again in India with the COVID vaccine. So that's what I got for you guys on Skillz OCGN and MVIS. Pretty volatile, good movers today, good trends. So hopefully you capitalize and made some money, and then we'll have to just wait and see if they can continue strength into next week in a big earnings week. So that's what I got for you guys. Appreciate you taking time to watch the video, and we'll see you in the next one.